5 more exotics were glad depreciated. If you haven't checked out part 1, you can check that out after this video, but let's get right into this one. So the first entry is actually a double entry, so it is 1 and 2, and that is because they're just very similar, and that's the Aston Martin Vanquish as well as the Aston Martin DB9. Now, if you look at 2014 Vanquishes or 2014 DB9s, you'll see that they're around the same price, and that's extremely criminal when you consider that one of them, brand new, could sometimes even be 150 grand more than the other. Let's look at them on paper. So on paper, they're both V12s. They both weigh around 3,800 pounds. They both have very similar dimensions. But ooh, you look at MSRP though, the Vanquish, brand new for a base model, base trim with no options, 282 grand. Most of them were optioned around 300 grand. By the time you talk about the S, the Volante, or whatever, they even get up to 350 grand. The DB9 on the other hand was 180 to 220 grand, to which I will now ask you lovely viewers as well as any 1%er who's watching this video, how did you guys let this happen? Why did you guys let this happen? And why is this a thing? How is it that two cars from the same company that are basically really similar on paper, actually the Vanquish objectively is just the better car. I mean, it looks like a 177, which was $1 million low production car by Aston Martin, and also it has more trunk space in the Vanquish as well. But look, I'm actually upset about this. That's probably the only reason I'm making this video. This is the problem I have. Vanquish, fantastic car. Y'all need to start vanquishing your bank accounts to buy this car because this mofo is unloved. The DB, super overrated. I don't care if it was in James Bond movies. But now, picture this. Hey, what do you want? Aston Martin Vanquish. Ooh, holy shit. It's like if Kirito from Sword Art Online was actually a good character. It's the perfect amount of edge with class. Vanquish. Aston Martin Vanquish. Y'all sleep on the Vanquish, alright? Because, like I said, it's more impressive to roll in a Vanquish because people think it's an even more expensive car. And if you're gonna spend the same amount of money on the two, wouldn't you get the one that has more trunk space, is better styled, and carries more prestige and status to it? That just is what makes sense to me personally. I know that the Vanquish does hold some stigma for the rear looking kind of weird. I disagree with that. Anyone in the comments, please help a brother out because I cannot be the one who stands alone with this. You look at the 177, you turned me back in 2010, alright? Back with Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit, wee little kiddo me. Not really, I was actually an adult then. Point is, I'm trying to say is when I saw this car way back in the day in every video game that was included, I thought the 177 was the greatest, sexiest looking car ever. Then I saw its price tag and childhood me was like, I'm not buying that. But the Vanquish though basically looked like a miniature 177 was a more affordable than he thought. Like the DB, I hate to say it, like it's very to the books Aston Martin design, which isn't a bad thing because that's why people love the Aston Martin brand. But look, every Vantage and DB from a distance looks the same to me. But a Vanquish though, a Vanquish, come on man, like ooh, I'm about to vanquish my bank account if y'all don't start buying these real soon because this makes me sad seeing this car just sit unloved. Now I'll briefly talk about the Aston Martin DB9 before moving on. The DB9 from 3, even 6 years back from 2014 still look very, very similar, which means if you're buying a 2014 DB9 or a 2014 Vanquish, I would go with the Vanquish because it's better value because they're the same price as each other except the Vanquish holds more status. However, if you really, really want a DB9, I would try to aim a few years back because like I said, the ones that are from 2010 don't really look that different, but they will be drastically cheaper. We're talking 20, 30 grand off for a car that still looks the same, still has a V12. Sure, it's a little older, might have some more miles, but if you're buying an Aston, you're prepared for the maintenance fees. So the next car on this list is the only non-British entry for this video. It is the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT, really any car that belongs to that series, so GTS, GTC, GTR, whatever. The AMG GT, really beautiful car. Whenever I see these at meets or in person or on the streets, I just kind of think to myself, wow, that's an astounding car and that's a great use of money, but I had no idea that they basically cost the same as Corvettes now, C7 Corvettes to be specific. To which kind of blows my mind because I was like, man, I could have bought one of those instead of my Corvette, to which I wonder to myself, why did I buy my Corvette then, if it's not as luxurious? And then quickly I remember, it's because of... So while I already made my decision, for a lot of others who are cross-shopping at C7s, Z06s, or other cars in that price range, you'd be surprised that this car is actually also within your grasp, also for a decent amount of miles with low owners and no accident reports. That's what really blows my mind, is all these prices I'm giving for these cars that I'm showing, that I'm also finding legitimately off of CarGurus, so these are actual cars that are for sale. These are really well taken care of examples. I'm not making some list video on like some beaten crap, you know, flooded Lamborghini. No, these are actually good examples that have just depreciated really, really hard, and depreciation hits certain cars harder than others, just depending on trends. Whether we want to admit it or not, one of the biggest factors to depreciation is because some people just don't find that model as valuable or worth their money. Now, if you're someone who doesn't really care about popularity, fame, any of those things, you just want a nice driving car, you could give absolute less a crap of what people think about you, you should be really excited. What blew my mind last time when I made a video like this, people in the comments were all angry, like, hey, no, this guy's bad talking to NSX. Oh no, it was totally worth 200 grand. Shh. Let me stop you right there. You know how in video games people like to trash talk a certain character so that eventually the company that makes the game will buff that character? It's kind of the same way with cars. Just accept the trash talking. If you have a dream car, you shouldn't be mad when someone trash talks it. You should be extremely happy, because the more trash talk that happens about that car, the higher your chances of affording that car goes. Because everyone crapped on the Acura NSX so much, that car is now an amazing bargain. For 108 grand, which is what they go for around now, I can't make fun of it anymore. You're getting a whole lot of car for that price. So it really does show that a lot of people don't understand how depreciation works and how the mindset behind it works, and how when YouTubers talk down on a car, it's not always a bad thing. In short, what I'm trying to say is that everyone should just keep complaining about Zhongli until they buff him to the moon. Oh, wait a second, wrong topic. What I meant to say was everyone should just keep complaining about Aston Martin Vanquishes and Mercedes-Benz's AMG GTs until they get so dirt cheap that I can also buy them. And the next car is a McLaren. McLaren will always find their way onto these lists because they just don't hold their value. Whether you want to, again, we've already talked about this literally in the last entry. I'm not going to repeat it, just kidding. I'm going to briefly go over it yet again. So Lamborghinis and Ferraris, whether you like it or not, they're more popular, they're more recognizable. Guess what that means for McLaren? They go down in value. Guess what that means? What you should do as someone who's a fan of McLaren, you should be happy. You can support your favorite brand, your favorite company, and you can actually afford, well, I wouldn't know about afford, but you can buy one of their cars as your dream car. It's actually attainable. Now, the reason I took back the word afford is because buying and affording are two entirely different things. I remember Saul Mondrian has a whole video about it, and the reason I say that is, well, you can buy McLaren pretty easily these days. As to whether or not you can afford the maintenance for it, well, that's another thing of its own. And that is probably why these cars have gone from 230 grand all the way down to around 100 grand, 110 grand, maybe 115 grand. Some of them are actually sub 100 grand. That might be because of Hoovie's fault. But again, the more people who make bad remarks about these cars, that's just better for your wallet, alright? It's good. Let it happen. Stop, let it just, when YouTubers bad talk a car, grit your teeth and just smile behind the scenes knowing that the car's value will go down. It's a good thing. Embrace the suffering. Embrace the insults. Let it happen. And the final car on this list is yet another British entry, which is a Bentley Continental GT. These cars, brand new, 205 grand. Now you can find them under 50 grand. Heck, you can find them 40 grand. Heck, it just keeps on giving. You can find these for even 30 grand. And I'm going to tell you what, you look at a 2005 Bentley GT and you look at a modern Bentley Continental GT, I don't see the difference. I'm a car guy, fully freaking fledged, been in the community for so freaking long. Like I said, I can tell the difference from a Vanquish and a DB9 from a DB11 from like 2 miles away. You could show me a Lamborghini Diablo SV or a Lamborghini base model Diablo and I would also see the difference probably from 5 miles away because I love that car way too much. But you show me 2 Bentley Continental GTs as a dude who's basically been born, raised, and bred in the car community his entire life, I don't care. I don't see the difference, nor does like 110% of non-car people. This car is so unevolved to the point that there are non-car people who haven't even been born yet who probably still cannot tell the difference of it. So that's how we got past 100% there. And that is a good thing, because the fact that you can buy a 15-year-old Bentley and it looks basically identical to a new one, that means if you show this off to your neighbor, you show this off to car meet, as far as people are concerned, you have a 200 grand car that you just bought for 30 grand. Of course, the maintenance of this car will probably cost you another 20, if not another 30 grand. But even if you spend, so you buy one for 30 grand, and then you spend 30 grand repairing it, you still spent 60 grand on a car that looks like 200 grand. So you're still the winner in that situation. One big caveat, yeah, I know the interior has a big difference because technology has gone leaps and bounds in 15 years, so buying an older model car will have less technology, but then again, that's a problem that can be solved for a very cheap cost. There's so many infotainment systems, center console systems, and stuff that you can buy to swap out your dash these days that are just available in the aftermarket. So I wouldn't mind if you decided to just buy an old car and put newer technology in it. That's very much an option. What I'm trying to say is if you want new technology, that shouldn't be the sole driving force of you buying a brand new Bentley Continental GT over a used one. You can just buy a used one and just change the technology for like maybe $5,000 for interior updates, as opposed to literally spending the 150 grand more to buy the new one. Don't do that, alright? Let that be some rich 1%er who buys these cars new, then suffers the depreciation and hands it off to you. I say that, but usually most of the people who are dumb enough to eat depreciation aren't actually true rich people. It's usually just clout chasers. Look, the point I'm trying to say is, I'm here to help you save money, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe for more car content. Also, I know a lot of people keep asking about this. Bladed, how's your Corvette doing? When's the next Weebvette? Well, I'll tell you what, I finally have an answer for that. First off, my Corvette is still doing alright. Don't worry, I didn't sell it. I just haven't really been making videos of it because it's freaking winter and because I moved recently. Okay, the real reason is because I'm playing Genshin Impact, alright? Just leave me alone. The second reason is I have found out a waifu that I will be putting on my Corvette for the Weebvette. When will that happen? You'll see when. Other than that, thanks for watching. See y'all next time. Blade Angel out.